Hi everyone, it's Kelly from the Teaching Python podcast. So today's tip is one of the most important comparisons, maybe, I think, for me when we're talking about CS education and AI. And that is, how does generative AI handle these if statements? And I was reading a lot about this and I find it kind of interesting. And why should we really care as CS teachers? Well, first and foremost, I love teaching about conditionals with sixth graders because it kind of brings magic to the classroom. You know, if we make a program and we talk about if your test score is greater than 90, great, you got an A. If it's between 80 and 90, you've got a B, and so forth. And that's kind of fun for a sixth grader to enter in some information and get a very explicit answer. And it's a real decision. It's predictable and it's traceable. And Python, it evaluates that condition and runs that right branch of the condition. And it always gives the same result as long as we type in the right answer. However, like when you look at generative AI, like ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, if you say something to it, and I did this, if the user is premium, thank them. Otherwise, offer a discount. And it kind of gives you this funky response depending on which model you use, saying that maybe it doesn't have enough data, or this seems like you're trying to ask a conditional problem. It doesn't know what to do, right? And here's what's actually happening, which I've been thinking and researching about. The model isn't executing an if-elif statement, right? It's predicting what usually comes next after a sentence like you've put into a prompt, based on probability, not on reasoning. And that's kind of like that false logic problem. It looks like logic, it sounds like reasoning, but it's just pattern completion. And Python and AI might both use that if-then phrasing, and they both respond to input, but the way that they arrive at an answer is completely different. And that's so interesting to me. And it kind of goes back to the Zen of Python, right? Python follows explicit instructions. AI generates likely continuations of a text. And here's why the Zen of Python helps us to see it clearly. So explicit is better than implicit. I mean, right? Simple is better than complex, and there should be one obvious way to do it. So Python sticks to that. AI doesn't. With Python, you know exactly why something happened. With AI, generative AI, you're reading the output of billions of statistical weights trained on massive data sets. And that model does not know why it said what it said. It just knows it was likely. So here's the teaching opportunity, and this is the real point, I think, of this tip. It's not go ahead and teach if statements so students can understand AI, right? It's teach if statements so that students know what actual logical execution looks like, so that they can recognize when AI is just mimicking it, right? And that distinction, I think, really matters. It's what we need to do in class, right? So students always assume that AI makes a logical decision, but it didn't. It generated something that resembles logic. It's not executing rules. It's performing a statistical impression of something that might have. And so if you're teaching CS, keep teaching if statements, not just for the syntax, but to like build up a foundation. Because in a world where AI outputs are fluent, fast, and convincing, students need to understand the fundamental difference between systems that run a logical path and systems that don't really sound logical. And for us, that's your teaching Python tip today. It's not magic, it's not even logic, it's just Python, and well, that's the difference, right? So for teaching Python, this is Kelly signing off.